praying for Black love and to be made ready for it. Come on, DTE. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are watching this. Hopefully, you are watching this live, but if you're watching the replay, we still want to say good morning, good evening, and hello to you. This is the Melanated Air Hour. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Today, we are not doing Melanated Air by ourselves as the four lovely ladies of the Melanated Air Hour. Myself, I am Lene Javette, Keisha at We Inspire Brand, Teddy at The Real Teddy Talks, and Miss Faye Bishop at Miss Faye Bishop. No. Today, we have invited some handsome young men to be guests of the show today. We have Keisha, what you guys may know as Keisha's man, here today with us. Young Jedediah over there, who she met at the All Black National Convention. We're going to get into that in a minute. And we have Teddy's husband, Reggie, is joining us today. That fine specimen right there. And we're going to be talking about Black love today. Okay, we're going to be talking about young love. We're going to be talking about wedded love. We're going to be talking about love and business. We're going to be talking about what does it look like to be pursued by a man. We're going to get in Keisha and Jedediah's business today. It's going to be a good old time. It's going to be a good old time. If you are in the comments, say what's up. Hello, how you doing? Hey, ladies. Hey, queens. Let us know where you're chiming in from. Tell us if you're single, or are you looking to mingle, or are you married? Chime in, let us know. So I'm gonna give you guys some background on how this conversation got started. I was at the All Black National Convention along with Keisha, and Keisha and Jedediah had their first unofficial date at the All Black National Convention. And I'm gonna let her tell the story, but I'm gonna give you guys. I'm gonna let them tell the story, but I'm gonna give you some background into how this conversation came to be. And young Jedediah, bless his heart, saw Keisha, knew what he wanted, pursued, and sometimes we pray for a young lady or a young man to approach us in life, and then when that person approaches us in life, we don't know what to do. We're like, well, hold on a second. You know, you're moving too fast. You're saying all the right things. Can I trust it? I don't know. Is this weird? We get hesitant when we get the thing that we prayed for. And so on the back end, you would think me and Keisha have known each other for years, but we literally have known each other for as long as this show has been on. And on the back end, we're coaching her like, no, this is what you prayed for, girl. Be open to it. And so here we are today. Jedediah is visiting Keisha in New York. And we say, this is a good time to do a conversation on love, on relationships. Teddy's is in Egypt with her husband. How long have you been married, Teddy?
It was 14 years last week on the 15th. So 14 years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let Keisha and Jedediah take us into this conversation on pursuing love. So let's start with, I don't know who to start with. Let's start with Jedediah. What did you think when you saw Keisha that first time?
Well, the first time we met on the elevator, actually.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Yeah, so I think we're both headed downstairs for registration, and I was kind of in the zone, and she said hello, and
I said hello.
It started and sparked from there. We had a foundation. We're both there for the same reason, but we're open to pursuing love, and that's how we met.
That's how you met. Okay. And so Keisha was there. She attended. She participated in the speed dating event.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Keisha was there. And so here's the thing, ladies, you guys can attest to this. If you've been following us for any amount of time, we've been trying to help Keisha meet somebody, right? Keisha has been putting it out into the air that she didn't want to be single. She's been manifesting it. Manifesting her. Right. So she's been putting it out there. She's been speaking it to existence. She goes to All Black National Convention. She does speed dating. That didn't work out for her. And so the night of the All Black National Convention ball, what happened, Keisha?
Jedediah asked me out on a date. He asked, may I accompany you to the B1 ball? And I was like, oh, accompany? Yes, you may. When you ask like that, absolutely. So that was actually our first date, the B1 ball.
The B1 ball was your guys' first date. And I'm going to show you guys, I'm trying to share my screen so that I can get the video up here, the image. So that was, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Oh, how cute. This is their first date. Like this the first date, 24 hours, 48 hours in, first date, All Black National Convention was their date. All right, cool. So then what happens?
What's funny is that we kept running into each other, and he actually saw me on my way to speed dating. So I was like all dressed up. You know, when we first met, he was dressed up, like he had his suit on and stuff. And I had just got off my flight. So I had like my sneakers and my sweatpants. And then the next time he saw me, he was going to the gym. Right. Like I was dressed up because I was going speed dating. And he goes, well, yeah, speed dating doesn't work out, you know, let me know.
And it didn't work out.
And it didn't work out. So he said he knew it wasn't going to work out. And I was like, I know.
So some of the things about the first night's date that were exciting or that I thought were cute based on the conversation was that night. I forget what was, and you can tell them more. We were talking about speaking life over situations at the All Black National Convention. I forget who was on stage, but somebody was talking about speaking life over things that are important to you and things that you want to produce in your life. And it was a general sentiment, right, for the night. And what did Jedediah say to you, Keisha?
He told me destiny doesn't ask for permission. That's what he told me. So basically what happened was everyone was getting, their awards and stuff. And then we, Lene, it was actually you recognized Dr. Boyce Watkins. And I was just like, wow, like, I really can't believe that I'm here. Like me and Teddy have had these discussions where, you know, sometimes I suffer from imposter syndrome, right? So I'm just like, me, like, I'm here, like, I am part of like a breakout session. I'm a vendor, like, and all of these things. And I'm like, wow, like me and Dr. Boyce Watkins, he allowed me to be in this space, right? So he saw something in me and he believed in me, but it's like, I have to believe in myself, right? And, you know, Jedediah, he saw me tearing up and I'm just like, wow. And he was just like, you deserve to be here. Destiny doesn't ask for permission. So
I love that.
Yes.
So question, Keisha, was it difficult when he asked you out to the B1 ball? Did you have any second thoughts? Because it's almost like when you're in that dating world, are you going to bring sand to the beach, right? Because this was a ball. It's going to be a lot of people, many who probably didn't come with someone. Did you question whether you say no or y'all were already vibing so much that you were like, of course I'll go?
I think we were already vibing and I was just like, of course I'll go. Like, it's kind of like, well, no one else asked, so you didn't ask. You missed your opportunity and he's on it. So I'm not going to miss out on this opportunity with him because there might be someone else, you know? So I kind of jumped on it. And it's funny because the first time we met in the elevator, you guys know I'm always joking. So I go to my group chat to my friends, right? I'm like, I may have met my husband, y'all. But like, it's like, it worked out. Like, we're not married. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not yet. All right, I'm gonna fast forward because I want to get to Teddy and Reggie. So fast forward, the B1 ball comes and ends. The next day, Jedediah asks her out for dinner. She's like, Lene, you want to go to dinner, but I don't want to leave, the facility. I don't know him. I was like, no, just have dinner here. Meet him downstairs, this, that, and the other. So they have dinner downstairs. I walk by and they like Lene. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see you. So I put, I bless them and whatnot. Going about my business. Everybody leaves, everybody departs, goes home, and the pursuit continues. And this is where it gets interesting, and this is where I want Reggie to jump in too. So they leave, they go home, and Jedediah stays consistent. He calls, he's texting, he's on his business. And Keisha gets home, looks at her list, and sees that he's everything that she asked for. And it scared her initially. And she was like, I don't know if this is real. I don't know what I should do. I don't know if he's stalking me. Like, I just don't know. It's moving too fast. And that's where we had to love on her and be like, what did you ask for? What did you pray for? What did you say you wanted? What have you been manifesting?
Right.
Now it's here in your face, looking at you and pursuing you. What are you doing?
Yep.
And that's when we said it's unfortunate that Black women don't necessarily know what it looks and feels like to be pursued by a man that knows what he wants.
Yep. And can I also say that we pray for things and we manifest things, but it doesn't show up. It doesn't always show up the way we think it's supposed to. So we have to look at that as well.
That's God working.
Mm-hmm.
I wish people, when we talk about relationships, we leave the God part out of it. It's extremely important to acknowledge, because we think that we're the ones in control all the time. And it's God who is also working.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the feeling you were feeling, Keisha, was you wanted to believe, but past heartbreak, past experiences, a lot of that we were talking about. If you're looking into the future, you're anxious. And if you're looking into the past, you're depressed, right?
Yep.
So you have all these emotions that have nothing to do with that present moment, have nothing to do with Jedediah, what he's doing, his consistency. You're listening to stories from your girlfriends and past experiences, and you're trying to bring that into your current situation and mix those all up and say, well, maybe this, maybe that, maybe anything. You know, life's not promised. Mm-hmm. So we have to take advantage of opportunity and see where it goes. And I think we all collectively told you, let his actions tell you who he's going to be. He's talking a good game, great. But if he stays consistent in his actions and align with what he's saying, girl, you better enjoy that blessing.
I told you, I was like, I'll date younger. Don't play.
You know, that makes me think of my situation. And this is actually a question I would love to ask Jedediah and even Reggie. I'm a firm believer through my own personal experience, just with, if I would have knew the guys were going to be on today, I would have had him here. But my significant other, my current significant other, because I was married before, but he told me within the first 7 days that I was his soulmate. And here we are 3 years later. I was married for about almost 15 years, and my ex-husband told me the same thing. So my question to you, Reggie and Jedediah, is it true? And is it, I mean, you can lend your own experience and how you felt when you met Keisha and Teddy. When a man knows, does he really know?
Let me take a jab at that. So go ahead. There is a magical part of the connection, but from a man's perspective, we have lists too. We have lists too. And, you know, I met Keisha's grandfather, actually, this earlier this week, and he said something interesting to me. It's like, whatever move you make, just be a man about it. But I've had that home training. So when you find the one who you're aligned with value-wise, when you find the one who is ready, when you find the one who's gifted in the areas where there's need there in your life, and you're complementing each other. From a man's perspective, it's time to man up. It's time to man up. So as far as, you know, when you see someone love at first sight, I mean, yeah, that happens. That happens. But as we mature, beyond the butterflies, beyond the magic, we're yet aware and paying attention to, as far as what I've been taught and the way I've been raised, I'm paying attention to everything else. So, you know, the date for her and the date for me, it's as much strategic as it is possibly for her. So I don't know if that answers your question, but.
So did you know, like you knew, yeah, this is it.
I think the B1 ball, we had a great conversation. It was great energy. And I think we actually shared a moment at the B1 ball, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here at the door. It's just up to you. The ball's in your court.
Yep, that's exactly what you said.
Okay, so I got a question for Reggie. So Reggie, what was it like pursuing Teddy? Because I haven't met Teddy in person, but just from what I gather that I think I know about her, I have to imagine that it was a pursuit. That I guess that's all I can say.
Yeah, it was. Y'all don't know Teddy. Teddy can do a lot of stuff. When I met Teddy could scuba dive. She could play the piano. She knows Arabic. She knows French.
Wow.
Right.
So when I met her and she told me all those things, I like, you're totally different from women that I done dated before. So that made me love her even more. And it was one question I asked. I said, "What's your favorite television show?"
This is 2005, y'all. 2005.
Disclaimer.
Guess what she said? Food Network Channel. I'm like, you're perfect.
That was back then when I used to show you how to cook. It wasn't like competition, chopped and all this stuff. It was like, here's how you cook a 30-minute meal. Here's how you do this. So I learned all kind of life skills watching the Food Network.
Yeah.
All right, so I have an important question for you, Reggie.
Mm-hmm.
Based on everything that you just said, you were intimidated by Teddy because you know this is the conversation we got to ask these. I mean, we're gonna talk. We're gonna have real talk today.
Yeah.
We hear that when a Black woman specifically, is successful and can do all these things, that it intimidates a man. That's what we hear. That's what we hear, on social media.
Nah, I wasn't intimidated at all. If y'all know about the military structure, my wife is high up in the military. So she's an officer. So as me dating her from the beginning, a lot of people, was like, pat me on the back like you did a good job. And I didn't know what it is because I didn't come from the military structure. So come to find out, she's an officer. She's over 200-300 soldiers. So it's like, I wasn't intimidated by it. I'm like, when you come through that door, you're going to take off your boots and uniform, and you're going to be my wife coming through this door. And that's the role we played, and it never affected our marriage at all.
And that was helpful because he was never taught to be inferior. He didn't grow up feeling that. And he worked for Cisco Corporation. So he was getting up, he was going to work at like 4, he would get up like 4:30 in the morning, go to work at like 5:15, 5:30. And I was like, I told y'all before, like, if a man has good work ethic, that's like a big checkbook in my thing. Like, you can get up and work, and it doesn't have to be a hard job, even though it was a hard job, physically grueling. So he's in great shape, but he worked hard every day. So I'm like, well, then when I take you out of this, I plucked him out of that. We went to Japan right after we got married. We were in Japan for 3 years. He from Tennessee, born and raised. So that was an adjustment, that lifestyle was adjustment. But, he took it head on. He was excited. Mm-hmm. And all of the stuff that came as a result of that caused a little consternation and bumps were managed because we both were excited about the life ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So great experience what we've been on. We've been rolling with Black Love from day one. So cheers to Black Love.
Joe Biden says her being an officer doesn't matter. Tell him, big dog. I want to piggyback. Faye, were you about to say something?
No.
I want to piggyback on your question about love at first sight-esque. When you guys, and this is kind of directed at both. When you're dating, or when you're out there dating, are you dating for purpose? And I know there's so let me back it up. There's phases to dating, right? When you're young, you ain't dating for purpose. You're dating to see who you can take home tonight. Some people, I'm not going to put that on you. But as you mature, you start like, okay, I'm ready to settle down, and I want to find my wife. Was it that, or was it more you're dating, and then you come across somebody, you're like, oh, you know what, this could be the one. So when do you transition to dating for purpose? Was that your situation, or were you just dating and lucked up on this individual?
You go ahead.
I think for me, so you guys know, I talked about it before. I was in an on again, off again relationship for 12 years, which ended after, we got engaged. And so that means I was dating him from the time I was 18 years old. So I didn't get to date in my 20s like how a lot of women do, or, men for that matter as well. And so after we broke up, like that was my healing time. So I wasn't really interested in dating anyone. But once I got past that phase, I was just like, I want to date just to experience dating. So it wasn't for the purpose of getting married at the time, but it was still a purpose, right? So it was still me saying like, okay, I want to date to see what it's like. I want to date to have this experience. So I did that for like maybe a good 6 months. I went out on dates with people, and you get to know people, you see how things are. And if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But then this year, 2021, I was just like, you know what? I know what I want. I know that I want to get married. So now I have to put that out there. I have to manifest. I have to, it's like, okay, now what do I do? Right? I look for those red flags now when I'm dating. Not that I wasn't looking for like, craziness before, because then I can't go out on another date with you. But now it's like, okay, are you husband material? Can I continue to go out with you? I don't want to waste my time. So that's what has been my 2021, especially within like the last 6 months, where I'm like, all right, I know this is what I want for my future. I want to get married. I want to have children. I'm 32 now, right? So I'm not getting any younger in regards to having children, and, the biological clock, that's a very real thing. So I have to get serious about, what I want and start setting that foundation.
So this is my question for Lene and Faye. So as we've aged, I'm 41. I was thinking, hold on, I'm 41. My husband's a little lot older. But when you've lived your life, you've had a great life, you had a lot of relationships, some worked out, some didn't. Do you ever, at your age now, do you feel pressured to commit? Or are you happy just taking it as it goes? Not saying you don't want to be married, but just it's not that pressure. Like Keisha was saying, I'm not getting any younger. Do you feel that? Or do you feel open to love when it comes, how it comes, in whatever form?
Well, with my experience, which is similar to Keisha's, I have my ex-husband and I met when we were teenagers. I was 15 years old. He was all I knew up until the time I was 33 years old. I'm 41 now. Oh, wow. So we were married for almost 13. We were together about 19 years, married for 13 of those years, excuse me. And there was never any pressure, because for me, I didn't know what dating was like until I was in my 30s. I tend to, if I say so myself, I don't believe in dating. I don't know if there is such a thing as that. I'm more of a fan of courtships. Back in the day, our parents and grandparents, they not only dated with purpose, they dated using simplicity. That simplicity was courtships. A lot of people tend to think that dating and courtship is the same thing. Actually, is not. Courtship is actually the lean to gear towards marriage. Dating is just more like hanging out, getting to know a person, figuring it out, because you can actually date more than one person at once. Some people do it, some people don't, but I had never experienced that. For me, there wasn't this long affair. I don't do long affairs. I don't even think, even with my current, for when I was 33 and I became single, I was single for 2 years. I didn't date anyone, because what I had to learn is, how do I live without the person I've known for my whole life? How do I deal with the fact that we're not a family anymore? How do I learn how to walk and crawl and walk again and stand upright and do all of that again? So me being 41 now and being with the person I am with now, same thing. It really wasn't a long dating thing. It was kind of like we knew upon meeting. is the pressure to get married? Because I've already done it, it could go either way for me. I am a fan of marriages for a number of reasons, but I don't feel that pressure primarily because I feel like I've already lived a life of that. I had it again for 19 years. So at 41 years old, it's kind of like I'm back to starting all over again, but not necessarily so much. But I'm also living and I'm okay with where things are now in the medium that I am now with my current relationship.
So I'm kind of in reverse actually. Early on, there was no pressure for dating. I think I dated a lot when I was younger and earlier in my life. Then I had my son, settled down with his dad, separated with his dad, and for whatever reason, like just still no pressure. There's hindsight though, right? So there's no pressure. I have my son and I throw myself into being a mom. And so there's no pressure with dating because I have my son. I want to be a good mom. He's the first thing in my life. And I knew that a man doesn't want to play second to my son. And so I took dating off of the table for a while. Now my son is 21. He's like, deuces, mom, get you a life. I'm not your boyfriend.
I'm not your boyfriend.
I'm not your boyfriend. I don't want to go to dinner with you. I don't want to go to the movies with you. I'm going to need you to find somebody else to hang out with. And so now it's a little bit of pressure, right? But now I'm 45. So now I am 45. My son has his own life. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in a PhD program. So my time is limited, but I do want to date. I do want to be in a relationship. I'm working on the whole manifestation thing, Keisha. But it's a different type of a pressure because at 45, it's face situation. Men over 40, they've already been in a relationship, married, have kids, and they do not. So the dynamics at dating over 40 are very different. And it's hindsight. Now I wish I did more balance with my own life. You can't go back and balance it out now, right?
Right.
I wish I had balanced out things more with relationship and child and stuff like that. But so now, my business keeps me warm. I'm lying.
Right.
So now I'm lying. So in 2022, I have made a conscious decision to be more, not pressured, but more open to being serious about dating, like putting it on my priority list, not putting it on the back burner, not putting my business first, not putting all these other things first, but literally putting myself and my own personal aspirations at the forefront of what I want to do. Not pressured, but just giving it more cadence as opposed to my business and my son and all these other things. I like the stuff that I can control. You can't control relationship. You got to be vulnerable. You got to put yourself out there. You might get hurt. I hate rejection. And so I'd be like, no, I'm good, but I'm really not good. So Keisha and Jedediah have truly inspired me.
Yes, they are so good. I was one in the comments when they said that he was their soulmate. You have to go back a little ways, but they said you are their soulmate. But I want to say that I feel like a tiny piece of, especially in our age, that definitely keeps me loving this man more than almost life itself, is I don't want to date again. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be back out there. Like, even when we get into a disagreement, we tell each other we be like, I ain't leaving. You ain't leaving, I ain't leaving. Because it's like, I can't imagine. I dated a lot in my late teens, early 20s. And by the time I met him, I was 25. And I was already looking for a husband. I was like, I ain't gonna keep doing that. And I told him, because I knew when I met him, I was going to school full time. So he didn't get to see the real military side of me until I finished my degree. So I was like civilian life during that time. So I was telling him stories, but he didn't really get it. He didn't believe me. And boom, when I graduated, we got married. But even then I was like, I'm leaving. When I graduate, I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere away from here. You're coming with me or not, and I'm looking for a husband. I'm not looking for no boyfriend. So I basically just put it out there, and I'm like, I left him to make the decision, but I was like, I'm not here to do this, and I don't want to be, I was trying to get overseas. So I was like, I don't want to be doing no long distance. Like, you in it to win it or you're not. and I let him make that decision. And thank God he chose me. But you know, it could have went the other way, and I would have been cool with that because I was looking for a husband at that time.
You know what I like that you said, Teddy? You said, I'm not leaving. We're not breaking up.
No.
I'm not dating.
What we're really saying is,
I'm reading the comments
is in a body bag. That's what
No, and I can relate to that because this era, I felt initially when I divorced, because I divorced in 2014. I felt like I got divorced at the wrong time during the wrong era. Because mind you, it was 1990. I don't want to. I'm giving away my age. It was 1995. 1995 when I met my ex-husband. So mind you, there was no social media. There was the internet, but it wasn't the kind of internet that we have now. Not even in the online dating thing. There was none of that. Now we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we got Twitter and Clubhouse and all of these different platforms, in addition to all, you know, being out there and just meeting someone in a grocery store, meeting someone at the mall, you know, meeting someone at a coffee shop. So it's like, when I became single, for me, it was like a tidal wave. It was like a tsunami. Like, what? I felt like I was dropped off in the middle of nowhere and I had to figure out how to get my way home. Yeah. And that is something, and I'm noticing it in the comments, that I understand that it's a process that we have to go through, but I wouldn't wish that on anyone because it's difficult in this era. Mm-hmm. It's very hard. That's why I'm a personal fan of courtships. I already know what I want, and I'm going in knowing what I want. And if you don't, I don't waste time. I do not waste time. And I think that that's something when it comes to dating, everyone should kind of make clear, because I noticed even Jedediah and Keisha spoke about that. They knew what they want by the time they met, you know, and that's very, very clear. Someone said it's conscious dating. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's a great segue. That's a great question, Faye. You didn't ask the question, but I think you preluded to it. What were those conversations like on your first one or two dates?
Lord have mercy.
No. Hold on. I want to ask Keisha and Jedediah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What were those first conversations on those first like one or two dates? Like, are you talking about business? Are you talking about kids? Are you talking about expectations? Because, you know, a lot of times people go on a date, they do the representative.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You guys
have the avatar.
Right.
Yeah. Those first dates questions, what were those like?
So, I mean, just being aware of what's going on. So, I mean, being direct, being persistent, sometimes that is met with a wall or a silo. So I was prepared for that, but the efficiency of being direct and conscious and strategic is that it saves everyone time.
Right.
So, yes, we talked about, do you want kids? We talked about.
He told me he wanted 7 kids.
7.
I come from.
I said I'm 32.
So you must have talked about finances then. 7 kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's all in
future.
Yeah. We talked about foundation and legacy. One of the first serious conversations we had
at the B1 Bowl.
At the B1 Bowl. I mean, the environment as well is conducive to, you know, having some of those more serious conversations. Had we met, you know, at the club, it would have been a different Jedediah. So
I
where
love
do you?
it.
Keisha too. But no, seriously, we spoke about spirituality as well. So I think the important thing, and I feel like what we both did, is we put our values on the table. So for me, I knew what I wanted. I knew what my values were. And I knew that I wouldn't continue on with a relationship or like dating if we didn't share those values. So we put it all out there. So we spoke about finances, we spoke about spirituality, we spoke about business, we spoke about family, we spoke about legacy. So we put it all out there, and the fact that we had like such a connection and those commonalities, it was just like, whoa, you believe that too? I never met a man that believed exactly what I believed, you know? And I was just like, wow, like that's crazy. So we definitely had those conversations up front. And one thing that you did say to me on the second date, it was, you know, you said that everything you do is with intention. And I think that for you, like, that's why you put that out there as well, because of the intention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you too. So because we dated, it was early on, like Reggie had a two-way pager because he was texting me. So this is again 2005. So he's texting me all the time. This is before texting was the thing it is now. So it was unusual for me that someone could reply in short messages throughout the day. I was like, because I was like anti-phone. I did have a cell phone, but man, like I didn't take it everywhere with me. So I was like, how are you texting me? It was weird to me. I'm like, why are you texting me all day if you're driving, you know? He's like, well, when I stop, I text you. I was like, okay. You know? But in this new revolution with social media, you got social media statuses, you have this pressure. Do you feel that is going to get that is getting in between you? Like, do you guys feel like you have to share your photo on Instagram and Facebook? Do you have to change your status to in a relationship? Or did you have that conversation? Because I think that's a real problem for people now, is this whole social media peer pressure of being in a relationship.
Facebook official.
Yeah, you know, you care. Does your people care, you know?
Yeah, I think for me, like that used to be me. So in college and like a little after college, like everybody needs to know what's going on. And that's because I wasn't secure in my relationship. So like now I'm secure. So if he want to post a picture, he can post a picture. If he doesn't, he doesn't. If I post a picture, like it doesn't matter, because the world doesn't matter. We are what matters. Yes. So for me, like I'm secure. And it's like, it is what it is with social media. Like, y'all know how I feel about social media now. So,
I do.
Facebook. I don't mess with that stuff no more. You know, especially because of the etiquette that gets practiced online. And this is something that me and the ladies talked about behind the scenes too, that we wanted to discuss in the show. And I'm glad that you spoke about that. That segued into that, because nowadays on social media, the lines have become so blurred because people have completely stopped setting boundaries. And it appears a lot of people are living a double life. There's their real life, and then there's the social media life. Right. And the social media life is the one that seems to take priority for a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people, over their real life. You know, it's the life you exploit the most to the world. It's the life you share. For many people, it's a direct reflection of the life you want people to believe that you are actually living. And so when I think of the emojis and the relationship statuses and all of that, and how oversharing is contributing to the downfall, it's like people are connecting through social media because it is this great tool. So there's the pro with that. But the con is it's also tearing relationships apart at the seams. And a lot of that has to do with a lot of the social media etiquette that we tend to practice online, men and women alike. And it's interesting. You see people who are taken behaving a certain way. Mm-hmm. If you catch my drift, you know. So I'm with Keisha on that. With social media, and I'm actually with someone who is very popular, who is a popular 90s rapper. I will not say his name, but we're on there for our brand purposes only. After that, that's it.
Yeah, it's because you hear all the positives about dropping in the DM. I met my so-and-so, you know, on social media, dropping the DM, but sometimes you don't know who's single, who's not single. Mm-hmm. And so there's people are always dropping in somebody's DM, good, bad, or indifferent. And it's the individual's person to say, hey, yay, whatever the case might be. Sometimes that happens. A lot of time it doesn't. I like to post those posts like, hey, how come you only said hi in private? How come you didn't say hi in public? I get that. You look nice today. How come you said it in the inbox? You just say it on my post. Everybody else said it on my post. You should have said it on the post. Drop these private comments. Okay, so I want to go to some of the comments. I'm going to back up to one. I keep backing up to it multiple times. Here it is. Everall Gordon. I see people talking to Everall. I'm going to assume this is a man. Yes, it is. Okay. Keisha and Jedediah, Teddy and Reggie. I'm happy for both of you couples. Unfortunately, Black love hasn't worked out for me as a man, and that's why I'm staying solo. What advice would you guys give the men? What advice would you men give to a man that does want to find his queen, but is struggling to find his queen?
I say don't be scared to love. I think brothers out here are scared to get hurt, just like everybody else. But I mean, we done dealt with pain before.
Right.
Try it. It doesn't hurt, you know? So if it was me and I was single, I would keep trying till I find that perfect person. So that's my advice.
Touche. I would say, it goes back to what your end goal is for me. So if you have an open position to get you to the level you like to get to, then to keep going, to keep pushing, to keep looking. But if you're satisfied and you've accomplished everything that you need to accomplish and you feel like, you're good by yourself, then that's a decision that you would have to make. For me, I know part of my legacy, I'm going to need the feminine spirit. I'm going to need my wife. I'm going to need that support. So I've been in other relationships, gone through the pain. That pain can lead to progress. That pain can lead to evolution if you have that end goal. And just like anything else, you got to push through to get to find them and to make that development happen. So my advice would be, if that legacy includes your queen, she's out there, she's waiting on you.
Waiting on you. I was in a mastermind the other day, and there was a seasoned gentleman. He was 67 years old, and we were talking about our goals and visions for 2022. He's 67. He was like, and I'm finding my queen this year. And I was like, come on now, at 67, still on the look for your queen. Get out there and find her. I didn't even drop that I wanted my king in 2022. I was like, damn it, I should have said that. All right, Danny G said, women back in the day were simple. They did not have high expectations. Do you think that's true, ladies? Do you think women didn't have high expectations back in the day?
I don't believe that.
I do feel that, and I said it, I went into it a bit earlier. I feel like our grandparents and our parents dated with a lot more simplicity. The women were groomed to be wives. The men were groomed to be husbands. They were groomed to be family men. The women were groomed to be mothers, and there was a grooming that took place that started among the families that they were brought up in. I believe that's not the case anymore because of the broken family dynamic and the broken family structure. I know that's not the case for everybody, but I feel as though it's definitely had a lot of impact on the reason why a lot of women have so many expectations today. And it doesn't mean that those expectations are necessarily a bad thing, but I do feel as though a lot of that plays a role in why that exists today, as opposed to, back during the Reconstruction era, the 1950s and all of that. That we do need to talk about how the broken family structure has contributed to why, dating in the modern world is so complex.
I think, Faye, in addition to that, I was just going to say, I think, Faye, in addition to that, we also have Black women who are becoming more educated and entrepreneurs. And then some of them have the mindset, I don't need no man, right? But it's like, well, if you want to get pregnant, like you are going to need a man. Like you can't do that by yourself, right? You know, building legacy, like you need that family. Like you always talk about family and legacy. And so you do need that. So I think that we do have higher standards collectively, because then you have the women that say, well, I have a degree, so I want a man with a degree. She's not talking about, oh, I want a man that is equally yoked. I want a man that can pour into me. You're not talking about those values, right? You're talking about, oh, well, I want a man that has a degree. And just because he has a degree, that doesn't mean that he's educated. You know, so you do have those women that are saying those things like, oh, he has to be on my level. But being on your level, that doesn't only mean a piece of paper. He could be on your level spiritually, emotionally, like in all of, you know, in other areas. So you do have those women that are like, no, you know, like he doesn't have a degree, so I'm not going to give him the time of day. And that could be your soulmate.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, very true. And I will also say too that I found a letter that my grandmother wrote to my grandfather. So they were born in the 1920s, and they were dating probably in their teens. And this letter was from like 1930, late 30s, maybe 1940. And in the letter, she loved him. You know what I mean? Like she was in love, and I could see it on the paper. She said, I heard the song and it made me think of you, and I can't wait to see you. And I hear my mom talk about my dad, and even though they divorced while we were young, they were in love. So even though life was simpler, dating and courtship was simpler, they still were connected. And I think that's what we can't lose sight of, is you can't let all your check boxes keep you from that connection. Like when you're feeling that fire and you're feeling that attraction and the yin and the yang and all that, you can't get your head involved and say, but you don't have enough degrees from here. You don't make this income requirement. Because as Reggie has found out, when we move around the country, around the world, he's had to give up his job several times, and he's had to be there. Now that we have small children, sometimes he's a stay-at-home dad, right? Which he absolutely didn't imagine himself as being that. And I hear it sometimes, maybe weekly. And but he does a great job. And if I had some PhD, really connected to their job kind of guy, where would we be right now? Because I have a career. You know what I mean? I'm retiring next year, y'all know. So what if I had a man that was trying to challenge that and say, no, I can't do that? What the hell do you mean you can't do it? We need this. Like, we need to be set up for this. So you have to be flexible, and don't let your head get in the way of what your heart's trying to tell you, but consult both, right? Yeah.
What would you, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going through the comments, I had to read all the comments so I can get caught up to see what was going on.
Well, let me be a single woman who says I am 100% team pick me. I'm not, you'll never catch me at any day, time of the month, the week, or the year saying that I don't need a man, because I absolutely do. I have 6 brothers. I have a wonderful father who has been married to my mother for 38 wonderful years. I need a man. I want a man, and I'm going to die with one.
That's right. Amen.
Y'all want to do and move however you want to move out here. If you like to shovel snow by yourself and change your tires by yourself and seek your oil change and raise your kids by yourself, that is wonderful for you. Right. It is not wonderful for me.
Amen.
And I know I probably may get a lot of flack for that, but that's okay. Flack me. I don't care.
I don't do no manly stuff. Taking trash out, I'll be like, it's not even a question, because I'm like, if I'm gonna take the trash out, then what you here for? That's what I always like. What are you here for? Like, I can take the trash out. I've lived by myself. I know how to do all that. I can change light bulbs and screw things, screwdriver, power drills. I got him here now, so honey, get that. Reach up there, whatever. Like, I'm not doing.
And if I could quote the great comedian Chris Rock. Chris Rock said during one of his stand-ups many years ago, I'll never forget it. He said, there are many things that we all can do. It doesn't mean that it's meant to be done. You can drive a car with your feet like Fred Flintstone if you want to get from one destination to the next. It doesn't mean that it's meant to be done.
Yes.
We can be without men and live without men. That doesn't mean that it's meant to be done. Same thing with men. Men can survive and live without women. But does that mean it's meant to be done? It's not. Our biological setup doesn't even call for that. We were placed on this earth for companionship.
Yes.
You know what? I often, when I'm talking to younger girls, younger ladies, oops, hold on, hit that comment. We're having that conversation about being the strong Black woman, and I don't need a man. And oftentimes we go back to money, right? I don't need a man to take care of me. That's cool that you don't need a man to take care of you, but from a financial standpoint. But what women, I think where women drop the ball at is that life is more than just money, right? You can work hard, you can be a CEO, you can make all the money that you want. Who are you going to share it with? Who are you going to travel with? Who's going to bring in the trash? When you're sick, trying to do a live, who's going to bring you some chicken noodle soup? So you can make it through. You got to drink this little water sitting on your throat. Keep your throat moist, right? It's not the financial stuff that you need a man for. And people have a problem with saying, I need a man. You do, right? And if you say you don't, you are lying, and your batteries are going to run out at some point in time. Okay. Yeah. So you have to be okay with saying that. Like, you have to be okay with saying that you need a man, and then what those things are for. At one point in time, I was dating this dude, and he didn't make as much money as me. And I went to my mom, and I was like, yo, he works here. And I was, I was consoling her. And I'm trying not to tell her all her business, but the conversation was, what are you looking for? And what do you want? Because at the end of the day, all you really need is somebody that will hold your hand and walk down the beach with you. She's like, that's how simple it is. The bills, they should get paid, but the rubbing of your back, the having those late night conversations, the consoling, the somebody that has your back, those are the things that money can't buy. Those are priceless things that every woman wants. That's great that you can pay your bills, but your bills are not going to be the things that console you and hold you and tell you that it's going to be all right. And hold your hand. Like, that stuff is priceless, and nobody can do that type of a thing like a Black man can for a woman. Okay. When I talk to young ladies and they're like, I can do everything by myself, I'm like, that's great, but do you want to? Do you want to? I understand we've been put in the position to, but is that what you want for your life?
And stop giving that narrative. It just doesn't feel, you want someone. You need to be with someone. Dennis Scraggins put up their Maslow hierarchy of needs. We talk about that all the time. Like, you have to fulfill your basic needs. You can't even function. Like, if you're thinking about eating, shelter, and staying warm, then you can't even think about starting a business. You can't think about saving for your future and generational wealth. So you need that emotional, spiritual connection to help you be the best person you can be. And that kind of segued me in this question, because we're all business owners. And I just want to say that having this relationship has made me be so much more successful, even if it's just the bouncing off ideas. But it's not just that. It's more than that. It's help building, it's keeping accountability, it's growth, it's having some different perspective, it's being able to put someone else on the company so that, God forbid, something happens to me, there's some of the state can't get it. You know what I mean? There's not this big issue. There's no probate involved. So it's, even from a business perspective, having that team just makes life that much easier, and you can scale that much quicker when you have support. So the support and finding those foundational needs is so essential. So we can't follow the narrative of, you don't need a man, you don't need air. You know what I mean? Like, we need it. We do need it. That's how we're designed. We're designed to be connected. We're designed to be close. So find that and don't talk yourself out of it.
Yes.
Faye is not single. Clement, just so you know.
Yeah, I elaborated. I elaborated on that. You have to go back and watch the beginning. No, I'm not single. I'm in a relationship. Single. 3 years.
Yes.
Happy.
Happy. So happy.
And Chanel, me and Chanel are the only single ladies on Melanated Air. Voice It with Christy Nicole. I see your comments, sweetie. I want to hear the men speak on the topic. Please let me know what you asked earlier. I can't find it, let me know what that topic is, and I will ask them. If you post it, let me know what topic it is you want to hear them speak on. Any final thoughts? Is there anything we didn't hit on or talk about that you guys want to put out there? Do you guys have any questions in the comments for our panel? Do you guys have any questions for Keisha and or Jedediah, Teddy and or Reggie, Faye Bishop? Please post them in the comments. Let me know. Try not to sound too much.
I just want to mention for the people who are single or they're in a relationship that they may have no business being in, don't be afraid to be single, right? So like, I know we talk about Black love, but you can't get that Black love without first being single. And we were just talking about this before we got on the show about that self-love coming first. So you have to know how to love yourself first. You have to know who you are first before you enter into a relationship that is going to be long-term. So don't be afraid to get out of that relationship. And I say that because I was there. I was in a relationship that I had no business being in. And it was just because, well, I'm already engaged. So that means I'm one step closer to marriage. I'm one step closer to having kids. And, it would have been a disaster if I would have stayed. So don't be afraid to get out of that relationship. I know it's easier said than done. I'm not saying that it's easy to get out of relationships, but if you are not fulfilled and deep down, when you're in a relationship that you shouldn't be in, try to leave that relationship, work on yourself, and then find that person that shares those values that you really connect with on multiple levels.
You hit the nail on the head, Keisha. I was thinking, because we had talked before this, and Reggie wanted to say something just on that topic.
Yeah, the same thing. Just you got to work on yourself first. Self-love. That's the only way you can to love somebody else. So I know that's the route that I went on. I had to love myself first for me to love this woman, and me love my kids, and me love her family, and so on.
I love it. Okay, so I have a question from Miss Lily, I think it is. Girl, if I'm messing up your name, I apologize. What do men actually look for when they are seeking a committed and loyal relationship? This question is for the men.
Well, I would say, boys are going to be looking for different things than men are looking for. So
come on, say it again for the people. Speak up. Lean into the microphone so the people can hear
you. So men are looking for support. They're looking for someone to lean on when times are tough, especially Black men. They're looking for somebody to have their 6 o'clock. They're looking for someone to communicate with, someone to understand, what the experience is like, someone to bounce ideas off, someone to calm, their stresses. They're also looking for family. Men are looking for legacy. They're looking for, someone to leave their estate to. They're looking for connection. So, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I agree. Same thing. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for a team, someone to build with, someone to love unconditionally, someone to, see my faults and don't crucify me for them. We just want a better half.
Right.
Better half. Let me ask you this. This is not in the comments. I've had this conversation with somebody. Does that change as you get older? Because I'm trying not to put my own business out there. I was having a debate with my homeboy the other day, and he was like, why would, if you're a woman over 40, why would a man over 40 date you instead of a woman over 20? What do you offer over 40 that a man doesn't already have? That's a completely different conversation for another day, ladies. Me and you. But based on the question that was just asked, does what a man want change as he ages?
Good question.
Well, I can only speak from my position right now as a 29-year-old man. So I want someone that understands me. I don't want to be speaking, Mandarin, and you speak in a totally different language and you can't communicate. So I'm looking for someone on my level that I know I can lean on from an emotional standpoint. So that's tough. I haven't been 40, so I don't know what.
All right, so Reggie, step in on this one.
Reggie is this. So
I know you got some, and you have friends. I know you your male friends talk about this. You probably have some that have been married or single or divorced. What's the conversation around the campfire?
Yeah, honestly, we want somebody on the same level. I mean, I call it dumbing down, but we don't want to do that. We want somebody on the same level to help you keep growing.
Exactly.
So all you older women out there, it's older brothers looking for y'all. So do not give up. We're looking for somebody to be on the same level, to keep building with you, to keep getting things in this life that we both want. And understanding team is important. It's the only way we're going to survive from here on out is being team.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to focus on that. Everybody got to get out of their selfish ways and got to say, you know what? I need to find somebody that wants a team, period.
Lene,
I wanted to say, not speaking for men, I'm going to let you speak, Jedediah.
Okay.
I think that it's that 80-20 that we always talk about. Because what an older man is going to get from a very much younger woman is going to fulfill some of those needs, but I don't think it's going to be the substance that an older person would want and what they need in their life. Like
right.
you're kind of, not saying slowing down because I don't want to make it seem like I'm old, but the things I wanted at 20 and the things I was doing are nowhere near what I'm doing now. I ain't even thought, like, people talk about going out at 10 o'clock at night, leaving the house at 10 o'clock. I'd be like,
right.
I used to do that, I guess, but no.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was just going to add that I would imagine that your needs are relative to your level of experience. So, I would say a man at your level is probably going to be looking for and needing what you need, in your 40s. So it's the yin and yang, some give and take. There's a spectrum. You're at one end of the spectrum and your match is going to be at the other. So looking at it from that perspective, biological perspective, the space you're in and what you need is most likely what he needs and the space that he's in. So.
All right. So I have two questions I want to ask. Thunder, let me say, I see your question and I've seen it twice. I'm going to get to it if I can. I want to ask this other question first and then I'm going to come back to it. I do see your question. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We really appreciate it. But I kind of want to address this question because I know a lot of women probably want to know the answer to this. For the men, what do you think is the biggest obstacle you see that women need to overcome to be successful? Now, she didn't say successful at what, but I'm going to assume dating and relationship. That's what I'm making the assumption, right? So what do you think is the biggest obstacle that you see and or hear from, your comrades that women need to overcome to be successful in relationship and dating and instead of securing the bag, securing the king?
Fear.
What was that?
Fear of rejection.
Why you gonna be putting all my business in the street? I thought we was cool, man.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna talk real talk. We got to talk real talk.
That's the answer too. That's the answer. It's fear. You're absolutely right.
Oh my God.
Now this is for sales. It's how to beat fear and become invincible through 100 Days of Rejection. It's a sales book, but it's funny that this book is sitting on my desk because we were talking about that. But anyways, go ahead.
Now, Reggie agreed with Jedediah, but one thing he always tells me is submission. He always says that you're going to have to submit to someone. So even if it ain't me, you think it's like the grass is greener or something, you're going to have to submit. Do you still think that?
Yeah, and not in a bad way. I don't want y'all to think like I got to be his slave. I'm saying that I've seen women, I'm not going to say dumb it down. I've seen women react a certain way around certain men, and it's still the same way as a submitting. So, like I told my wife, I said, if you didn't do it for me, you'll do it for the next guy that you're into. You're gonna be kind of submissive to him. You understand what I mean?
Like even if it's dating, like even when you're dating, and you said we have the avatar at first, right? You kind of you're showing them that fake person to kind of feel them out and see what they need. And if they want to order for you, if they want to pay, if they want to do that, you're submitting. And even if it's not real, because eventually the real you is going to come out, right? So then when the real you comes out and you're clashing with your mate, if you start over again, you're going to have to submit again. You know, you have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's a revolving door.
Let me chime in here. I'm going to go back to what Miss Faye said a little earlier. You can do it, but do you want to do it?
Yeah.
So, you have masculine energy, you have feminine energy. If it's easier for me to bench 250 pounds, let me do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna close out. I'm gonna hit your question because you've been so patient. It says question. What advice would you tell your daughter when a man comes to ask for her hand? What advice would you give her? Let the man answer also. So what advice would you tell your daughter when a man comes to ask for her hand?
You go ahead, because you got two daughters.
I'm gonna ask him, is he ready? You have to make sure that a person is ready. I'm gonna ask him about himself. Have you got your stuff together? Is there any problems with you? As far as him self-loving himself and understand how important family is. There's no wishy-washy coming for my daughter. You got to come correct, meaning that I'm here to love your daughters and I'm going to be here to the end. And if not, please move on. You understand? Okay. He got to be ready to build. He got to be ready to uplift my daughter, and she's going to do it for him, because I'm going to teach her everything he needs to know that she's going to be a perfect wife. Period. Family is the most important thing in our family structure. And I'm going to teach my daughters that. And I want him to know the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yay. So this is, I wasn't going to ask this, but one of the comments, first, let me give you your kudos and your claps. Michelle Etienne gave you. And then Grounding My Crown said, Reggie said that on period. Michelle said, thank you for that, gentlemen. And usually I don't let the comments bully me, and I'm not necessarily letting the comments bully me right now, but I think that this is you guys are here, and I think that this is a good place to get some insight. So one of the comments was like, you guys were just talking about prenups last week, and now y'all talking about black love. Well, it's all relative, boo. So, you love and prenup, right? So since you guys are here, let's address it. You guys are in the early stages of your relationships. You guys are married. I think, Teddy, you were on the prenuptial conversation. Yes. And that conversation was prenuptials, meaning having a conversation about your wedding. I'm sorry, not the wedding. Having a conversation about your marriage, okay, before you get married. It's not protecting your finances. It's having a conversation about your marriage outcome. Should something not go properly? And should you do that? And we say, yes, you should. We didn't say that you should cover your finances. We say you should have proper conversations about your marriage before, which is what a prenuptial does. Okay. So with that being said, I just want to make sure I cleared that up. Now I can ask my question. What are your guys' feelings about prenuptial agreements and or prenuptial conversations? For Keisha and Jedediah, have you had it? And for Teddy and Reggie, without getting into y'all's business, I know you guys talk. Tell us what those conversations around prenuptials have been. You don't have to tell us if you have one. That's not our business. But just what are your opinions about it in order to stay consistent with the types of conversations that we have?
We have had that conversation even before we had it on the Melanated Air show. What was that, last week? Last week.
Yeah, that was what day? Yeah, last week.
Yeah, like the weeks are going fast. But yeah, we did have that conversation about the prenup. and yeah, we had it.
Okay, good. And again, it's not our business what it was. I just want to make sure that people know that the conversations that we talk about in here are real life conversations that we have in our own lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood has made prenuptial agreements, protect my assets and don't give her no money. That's not what a prenuptial agreement is. It's a conversation that you have with your mate before you go into the nuptials that say, this is how I want to cover you should something go awry. That's how it should be. We should make these we should make these decisions and have these conversations in love. Should something happen, we have had this conversation and we're equally protected, or you're protected, or the case might be. It may not be financial, but it's still a conversation that needs to take place. So I'll digress and go back to Teddy and Reggie.
I'll say that. So when I met him, I was 25. So I wasn't really smart on that then. But when I started feeling him, when we were dating and I knew that I really liked him, I asked for two things. I asked for a copy of his credit report, and we both went and got STD tested. So those two things was our version of a prenup. Okay. So I don't have any assets. I guess I did. I had like investment savings. I had already been in the military 8 years. So I did have investments and whatnot. So if I had been more intelligent on that at the time, we probably would have got a prenup just to protect those assets in case he was some maniac or a loser or whatever. But we talked, so the credit report thing, that threw him, right? Because he was in his early 30s at the time, or he was in his mid 30s. So that was like, he was like, what? You want to see my credit report? I was like, yes, I need to know what I'm dealing with. And I know a lot of people don't like talking about money. So that was it. I could see everything right there, what his situations were. And then he could see mine. I shared as well. And let me just go in eyes wide open. So I whatever your version of prenup is, just don't hide things. If you're going to be in a transparent relationship, you're sharing your body, your soul, your spirit. You need to share your finances and your goals and your spirituality and your dreams and all that as well.
Yeah.
Faye, go ahead. I chime in.
I was going to say, as someone who was married previously, the pastor of my mother's church, that's who married me and my ex-husband, he wasn't going to marry us unless we went to counseling first. And mind you, we were 20-year-olds. I was literally 20 years old. I think I had just turned 20 when I got married. So he just refused to do it. Most of my family members, who 80% of my family is married, just to be clear. Everyone who married them, even the members of my family that went to the Justice of the Peace, whoever it was that did the marrying, that they did not marry them unless there was a conversation that took place first. And there was paperwork that needed to be signed acknowledging that the conversations actually took place, that the therapy took place, that whatever premarital therapy or premarital counseling took place. So yeah, it's very important. I agree with what Lene said. It's Hollywood, and I would say it's the state that tends to try to put this ugly dagger on what prenuptial agreements is. They make it about money, and it's so much more than that.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to address that, just so y'all don't be like, y'all talking about one thing and not know, but we can talk about it here too. We ain't hiding nothing.
Open.
Talk about it all. School is all right. All right, so closing comments. We'll go around the room as we close out on our conversation on Black love. When you get what you prayed for, what next? Jedediah and Keisha, what are your closing comments?
I mean, I would just say, I feel like I've said everything I had to say, throughout the show, but, just work on yourself first and have that self-love before you go trying to find somebody else, because if you don't have that, you might sabotage, what may be for you, right? So you could have that right person come along, but then you sabotage it because you didn't work on yourself. So if you are single, have that self-love. Black love starts with the self first.
Yeah.
That's it.
And be open when you find it.
And be open.
Be open when you find it. And as someone
knocking on your door.
As someone who got exactly what I prayed for, and I had my list. I had a height requirement, I had a weight requirement, I had all of that. And then this brother walked past me. I was like, well, there he is. So just like you approached Jedediah, but I definitely approached Reggie because we were at a big party. And I walked past him a few times and he didn't take the bait. And my feet were hurting. So I'm like, so I was already an old soul. So I was about to go. So I approached him and I was like, I've seen you. You're handsome. I'm about to leave because my feet hurt. Here's my number. And he was just so like kind of taken aback by it. But then I called him the next day to see if he wanted to go to breakfast. And he said that was the thing that really made me stick out of all the other women, I'm sure, that was trying to holler at him that night. But I got what I prayed for. And then during that courting process and the growth process, we had a lot of honest conversations, just like Keisha and Jedediah. We up late talking all day, during the day, at night, talking, connecting, and being transparent and being accountable. And I think that is what got us here 16 years after that, still together, still having disagreements sometimes, still maybe not connecting 100%, but we talk through it and we work through it because we know that this is where we want to be. And it ain't no better out there. So let's work with what we have and grow and build that generational wealth for our kids. Like that is what's most important. And wealth, not just in financially. I'm talking about where they can see us grow together and they know this is what love looks like. This is what relationships look like. This is how a man treats a woman, and grow from there so that they can give that to their mates and dates and all that as well.
I can't believe we skirted over the fact that you approached him and called him the next day for the date. Like, how did you do that?
But it's so funny. I was in a place that I was like, I'm just going to have some fun. And that's what it was. So I didn't have that barrier. I didn't have that embarrassment or what it was. I'm always been a loner. So I didn't have no one to be embarrassed in front of. Like even his friends were like gatekeepers or something. So I had to kind of like push them out the way. I was like, excuse me, like to even get to him. It was crazy. But I didn't have there was nothing I had to lose. And that is life. You're your own barrier most of the time. So I go up to him. If he said no, he's not interested. My feelings would have been a little hurt, but that's it. I'd have had my wine or whatever, and I'd have gone about my business.
Faye?
I just want to say that dating with a purpose is essential, especially if you're trying to find someone to create and sustain a healthy relationship with and to build a life with. If that's not what you're looking for, don't lie to yourself and don't lie to other people about that. Be clear. Creating a dating plan is easy. Like I said, back in the day, our grandparents and our parents dated with such simplicity. Such simplicity. You know why? Because they went in knowing what it is they wanted and they went for it. I believe that it takes effort. It takes patience. It takes self-discipline. And in my opinion, it takes the wisdom of others who have done this successfully, such as Teddy and Reggie, to understand what it is that needs to be done, as well as Keisha and Jedediah. They're still new, but this is amazing. We're watching their love grow. We're actually witnessing Black love in real time happen. So take note and witness. You're seeing it. Take this in after this conversation is done. And be honest, have a sit down and a real honest conversation with yourself in the mirror to figure out what it is you want and go for it.
Full speed.
Yes.
Full speed. I'm right. I should have been writing notes, Faye. Damn it. I know what to do. Step one. Step two. Oh my God. What a great broadcast today. Even better than I imagined when I pictured this conversation. Wow. I'm so happy and thankful and grateful to our gentleman guest that sat in on the Melanated Air today. Super, super cool. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and being so honest and so transparent and helping and guiding and loving on both of these women that have entered my life, but that are just beautiful women. So I want to thank Jedediah for being here. Thank you, Reggie, for being here. Thank you guys in the audience for tuning in, for engaging, for telling your stories, for showing up. We love you. We appreciate you. I thank my co-host of the Melanated Air Hour, Please make sure you guys go and support and like and follow and engage and love on those of us that are in the Melanated Air Hour. You guys can find Keisha at We Inspire Brand. You can find Teddy at The Real Teddy Talks. You can find Faye Bishop at Miss Faye Bishop. You can find me at I Am Lene Javette. Madam President is not here today because she is picking her mom up from the airport. You guys can pick your mom up from the airport when she tell you pick her up. You can't be on the TV box screen talking to your little friends. No. That's where she's at today. And we just want to thank you so much. We thank you. And as always, we ask that you continue. Enjoy your holidays.
Yeah.
You won't see us live on Thursday. It'll be a rebroadcast because we want everybody to enjoy their family. So the next time we see you will be after the holidays. So we want you guys to enjoy your holidays. Continue to be blessed, stay Black, and be one. We'll see you guys next week.
Love you.